Welcome to the first part of my new Bloodborne speedier run playthrough. Yes, it's Denning here, and welcome to Bloodborne again, because I like Bloodborne. It's been probably one of the best games of 2015. 2015's been a very good year for video games. I mean, we had, Bloodborne. You've got Witcher 3, Metal Gear Solid, that was really good, Phantom Pain. Awesome game. I'd have to say Phantom Pain was probably my game of the year, just because I haven't played Witcher 3, because it was just so different. You could just do anything. You could go in all Rambo, or you could do stealth. It just had so much to it. And Bloodborne I love because of its challenge. Like, it never seems like it's a linear story, even though it is, of course. But it's got that semi-open world feel, Sony semi-linear sort of feel to it. Like, you still feel like you're given choices. Like, when you're here and you're going along the path, yes, it's an A to B. It's here to Father Gascoigne, but you know, you could go to Cleric Beast. And after Father Gascoigne, you have the option of either going straight towards the Bloodstar Beast, or you could spend 10,000 Blood Echoes, buy an item, and skip past him. Go straight through the gate to Vicar Amelia. I'm going to stumble with names, there are too many of them in this damn game. But yeah, I mean, I still feel that even though it is linear, it's got that open world feel. You know, multiple choices. There's not so much of an ugly sandbox as some are. You know, in this one, every single detail is there for a reason. The little gargoyles all over the place. Shrines with faces covered. You know, you look at and see, you know, the eyes of the shrines. The eyes are always covered because most of these people have picked out their eyes in order to increase their insight. Because they want to see from within, they want to see more than what their eyes are telling them. You know, little bones in the fire there, you don't notice it. You don't notice that it's a werewolf. Kind of like, there's just so many little details, and that's what I love about Bloodborne. Plus, of course, I love the challenge. The challenge to me gives you that replay ability. Every run can be different. So for this run, for example, I'm going to try and do a strength build, but of course, some things are very hard to do. So through this, you'll see me drop my heavy weapon and pick up a nice fast weapon. Because, like, for Bloodstar Beast, for example, every time I try and do it as a strength build with a big heavy weapon, he's just too fast. Way too fast. So you've got to get in there, use a fast attack. That's just me personally. I'm sure there's a strategy around hitting him really hard with a big mallet. So, well, speedrun, I would have gone, broken through those boxes on the other side and gone down past Aline. I've instead gone to the other direction, because the other direction you can find the Hunter's Armor on this side, which is a great armor because it almost doubles your armor rating. And early in the game when you've got no health, it's quite handy. So I also skipped the first fire because, well, we don't really need it straight away. I can dodge a lot of things by myself, and hey, I've got 10 Molotov cocktails. I was rushing a bit too much to get that item. So there's a Hunter's Armor. So that's my first part of my goal, and of course my second part is, I want a weapon. Lots of the things I'm picking up to me are important, but say for example you're doing a speed run just up to a certain point, you could probably skip those bullets, pick them up later, or not pick them up at all really. Because like say for example you're doing a speed run, you're skipping the gun in the beginning, well you don't need the bullets. So here I've just upgraded my armor, so you can see the difference. So much better armor. the item over there is a Madman's Knowledge. So I want that so I can level up my character. There are 3 ways to get Madman's Knowledge in the start of this level. You can pick up the 2 individual ones. That's 2 different ways. So one in the bottom of the sewers, one over there. Or you could go visit a boss and then either die or teleport out using a Bolt Hunter's Mark. Trying to do a Viscera on the stairs never works. And that's why we get Molotovs. So I've chosen this pathway so that I can get the armor. Then I'll speak with the little girl up here, get the item to use against Gascoigne. And then I'll duck down the other way and get the Saw Spear. So over here is the torch. Not a necessary item at all. I just like it. I find it's very handy for old Yharnam, being able to run past a lot of the enemies because they're scared of fire. But again, what captures me about Bloodborne is the difficulty. It's always been that way for me with the From Software games, so the Dark Souls series. I like the exhilaration you get afterwards. The hands in the air, yes! I completed that. I demolished that objective. I mean, you don't get that all the time. So many games are always holding your hand. You know, they even have a mini-map in the bottom left corner telling you exactly where to go. Or you'll have the, a little tooltip or a pop-up will come up and say, this is your objective, go here, go speak with this person. The FromSoft games don't have that, and that's a big drawcard for me. I miss the old days where you only had 3 lives and then you die and you have to replay the game all the way from the beginning. That was a true challenge. I mean, games in the past, they didn't have to be big, massive games. They could be short games because they were so hard that you'd need to do quite a few playthroughs to get through it. You have to memorize every section of it in order to get to that last area. And then you'd have the final challenge, which of course will be difficult, much like these games, but afterwards, that exhilaration of completing it. I was playing some Mario a while ago, one of the new ones, was it Mario Wii U or 3D World, one of them. And, I saw it was a great game, really nice game, nothing against it, but after I died about 5 times, it just popped up a block in the beginning of the level saying, here's a cheap way, use this invincibility cap. This took away the fun. You're meant to die, that's why you've got, lives moving from one stage to the other. I think I had like 40 lives after a while. I mean, do you really need an invincibility cap if you got 40 lives? But I guess they're trying to market it towards family entertainment. But you're not going to get any better if you don't struggle at it. The other big draw card with this game is the community. I mean, people who jump on the Wikipedias and they put in little comments and tips and guides. There's a billion YouTube videos out there with different guides to beat bosses with different weapons. Because when you do get late game, you're kind of stuck on a certain build. So you're looking to beat the boss in your way using what you have. You can't level a new weapon up to, level 10. You can't change the fact that you've got more strength points and skill points. Sometimes you don't even have the weapons that the people are using these strategies with. But it's, it gives you freedom and assistance. Of course, the Dark Souls community can be, of course, very mean. I remember when I was first playing Dark Souls and I was looking online about how to, beat certain sections and most of the comments were just saying, get good, get good, get good. It's like, oh, this doesn't help. And then eventually, some people were saying, like, learn to backstab. So, you learn backstab, you get yourself a bit further into the level, Then you come up to some more of the knights in Analondo, and they're again beating you. So, you know, you jump back on the forums, check out what people are saying. And of course, you get good again. Seems to be the common phrase in the Souls community. But, you know, it's good. You're leveling up yourself as much as you're leveling up your character. And of course, they'd say, eventually, some comment would say, parry, learn to parry. So, you know, you're learning to do all these skills that are given to you. And Bloodborne, they wanted you to focus more on items rather than having one weapon that does the whole game. So the first time you pop into the Hunter stream, the doll will always be a doll. Even if you popped one inside before coming in, it will still be a doll. So when you're doing a speed run, you've got to take this into consideration, that if you skip that starting weapon and that starting trip in order to save time, you're still not going to be able to level, even if you have a lot of blood echoes. Which I didn't notice in my speed run, but now I've noticed it, of course. I will try and get better than 20 minutes. That was just a fool around, see how fast I can defeat the blood sub-beast. So I've got one insight, and I got my sword cleaver. So I like the sword cleaver because it's fast and it's got a serrated edge, so it's good against beasts. You're getting extra 20% damage. Whenever you pass through this section here, it's always good to kill everyone. It only takes 20-30 seconds, but it gets you a couple blood vials, and early on in the game when you don't have many, extra blood vials always helps. So yeah, killed 2 people, got 2 blood vials off one guy. So by taking a shortcut, you skip the wolves that are just behind me, the 2 werewolves. They're a brutal fight. So, Cleric Beast. Tons of strategy guides on Cleric Beast, but I'll just throw in my 2 cents. In the beginning, you can aim at his head and shoot him with your pistol, and you can stun him. Well, stun him for a visceral. It takes about 3 to 4 bullets. We got it about now. There we go. So you run up to his head, and you got a visceral. But now that his head is bloody, you can't do the same strategy until he heals it. So he'll cower for a moment and heal himself. If his face stops being bloody, then you can do it again. Sometimes when he's reaching down to hit you with his arms, you sometimes hit his head. So you can get a visceral attack that way. You're going to hit his head normally. But as for the pistol method, you're just not doing enough damage to get that visceral. There we go, see? He ducked down for a moment, and I got lucky enough to swing against his head for a visceral. I like to just duck left and right and try and break the limbs. Every time you break a limb, whether it be a leg or an arm on that side, you'll be stunned for a few seconds, which can give you time to get back your stamina, or you can go for another attack or even duck away to heal. Using Molotovs is a cheap strategy, but it does work. Just remember, it's a Cleric Beast, it says it in the name. So, serrated weapon, the sword cleaver, and fire. Always good. So the badge you get here is great for getting, you'll see it, it's a strength weapon. So it only costs 2,000 souls or 3,000 souls, not much. You can pick that up pretty early in the game if you're making a strength build. Alternatively, you can of course just get the Hunter's Axe in the beginning of the game. It's a good weapon you can take through the whole game if you like your strength build. Coke Hammer, that's the name of it, 3,000, not too many. you would have gotten just as many from the kill. Crow 16 and 10, I got 15 and 9, so just got to upgrade one of each.
Hello, good eye, honorable, and you will twin.
So this is the second time we visited the Hunter's Dream, so the doll is alive, provided you got at least one insight.
Farewell, good.
So as I said, you could get Madman's Knowledge, or you could visit one of the boss locations, and then once the boss fight starts, you're going to get one insight. And then you can just die or warp out with a Bold Hunter's Mark. You can get Bold Hunter's Marks in the section right before the Gascoigne fight, or from Eileen, the Hunter. She gives them to you as well. So we got the tiny music box, we've got some Molotov cocktails, we got a strength weapon, we got a couple of levels. So it's time to challenge Gascoigne. I've tried speedrunning a few times, but the problem is there are certain bosses that just stump you straight away, like Gascoigne. You can try any strategy and he's still going to be a pain. And then when you get up to Rom, so many strategies, and again, such a pain. I remember the first successful speedrun I got, took about, still in me doing the speedrun, remember. I got up to the Yahoo Ghoul boss after about 4 hours, I think. It was pretty good for an attempt, you know, first attempt of a speedrun. No skips, no hacks, of course. And yeah, I just died. So it's, sometimes you do have to just grind a bit and level. So with this weapon, it's quite nice. You've got a sword and a big hammer. So the sword's great if someone's got a fast weapon, which you can be faster. But if someone's got a big weapon, slow, you can dodge and get big hits in. Also looks cool. So when it's in its two-handed form, it gets benefits from your strength. When it's in its short form, it seems to get benefits from your skill. So it's not 100% best weapon for strength build, but you know, it's still good. But it'd benefit a bit more from a hybrid build, so a bit of strength and skill. But you could always say, I'm doing a strength build and keep it in its two-handed form only. Still not doing that much damage. Yeah, you could keep it in its two-handed form and then have a secondary weapon as your quick weapon. Maybe get the Whirligig Saw. It's got a mace as its short form. That would be quite nice for a fast but also strength weapon. The game's littered with skill weapons, but that's because fast weapons, fast actions, it makes the game a lot easier. If someone asked me like what's the best way to start the game, I would say Saw Cleaver, because the serrated edge and also the two-handed form, or the second form, the trick form, it just becomes extended. So the extended ability is great for getting jumping behind someone and then doing a backstab spin around with the heavy R2, or the light attack is an overhead shot. So with some of the large bosses, they tower above you, and when their head comes down to the ground, it never comes straight down to the ground. So it's still hanging above your head, and then that's quite handy for getting those attacks in. and it's still quite fast. After that, I would say have your secondary as Tonitrus, because the second half of the game there's lots of the kin, and the kin are not so resistant against bolt and lightning attacks, so it's great for the second half of the game. Combination of the two got me through most of the challenges in the game. So, Father Gascoigne, pain in the arse, early game. So I like to use these gravestones to try and get a reach through. You can do it with any of the weapons. You could pick up a Saw Spear and do it that way. This one, any of them. Any weapon with an extended reach. Just tap through after he's done an attack. That's one way. So when he goes two-handed, he's a lot easier to visceral.
It's enough to make a man sick.
Wait for an attack, visceral, and then stun him, get the visceral attack. See, his two-handed weapon is just slightly faster than mine, so in that situation it'd always be good to cut back to the sword form, in my opinion at least, and try for those visceral attacks. Or dodge and get in a couple of quick attacks and then dodge away. I thought I'd leave in that death just to show that I'm not perfect. Yeah, so there are many strategies with him. Another way is you get him onto the staircase and then you duck around underneath it, and then you can use a weapon with a long reach like Hunter's Axe or the Kirk Hammer like this, and hit him through the bottom of the stairs. You'll see it, I think I did it in this playthrough. I see speedruns, and what they do is they get him up to the staircase, get him to charge at him, visceral, and knock him over the staircase. I have tried it, but I've never been successful. I'm guessing that it's been patched. Because yeah, he gets knocked over, so it's a one-hit death, because he falls through this thin air. In order to get the visceral attacks a bit easier, the blunderbuss is nice. Because he moves around so much and the blunderbuss does air of effect, you can get the visceral attacks, the stun, quite a bit easier. Because one bullet can be missed. So here I am trying for that staircase visceral to knock him over. And failing. He is a very tough fight. You gotta remember, everything is trying to kill you. So that's how you can get your viscerals. Everything and everyone will try and get close to you. So you can just wait and time your attacks. So here's the other cheat strategy. He can hit you. But yeah, you can cheat this way by doing either a heavy attack, or you could do the jumping attack with forward and heavy attack simultaneously. As you can see, this method isn't perfect either. And when he does change into beast, it stops working at all, because he just walks around. The beast form is the worst. He's just so unpredictable. But you take advantage of using the tiny music box to get a backstab or two. And Molotovs are always great because he's a beast. So fire. Oh, so never been able to perfect it to knock him over the banister. But I would imagine it's been patched. There's enough speedruns on the internet that someone at FromSoft would have seen it. They like to stop the exploits, which is good. You can cheese a boss, but you shouldn't be able to exploit the boss. So that's been pretty bad so far. It's been about 25 minutes, so as you can see, this isn't a speed run, but it's a speedier run. I'm skipping unnecessary bits. So I'm going to... There are a lot of items in there, but they're all few and far between. I do love the Charred Hunter set. The fire resistance on that is great. And if you're doing a chalice run, it's so handy. There's lots of things in there will have fire on their attacks. I mean, the first boss, or the first major boss of the first chalice, is a big fiery dog. So if you're going to have that armor, you're helping yourself out a lot. Just trying to find a path through. So secondary hunter set. Very similar armor to the other hunter set. Just ever so slightly in stats, and it looks different, of course. I personally like the top hat for a bit of style. This section over here is great for blood shards. So you just got 2 there. I think there's 2 to the right here with the crow, which I'm getting stuck against. No, 3, so that's 5 so far. That one over on the far left is 5 as well, so that'd be 10. And then you got the Wandering Madness as well, which can be taken out with 1 Molotov cocktail. Which is a lot easier than this big guy hanging around and then trying to attack it. And it's got 3, so that just this one section here, 13 bloodstone shards. So this is great for upgrading. So you could skip lots of the ones in the first section and just know that there's 13 here. So to upgrade your weapon to +3, you start off with 3 blood shards, then 5 blood shards, then 8 blood shards. So you're going to need a total of 16 to get it to +3. So with, what was that? I said 12 or 13? 13 there, then you only need 3 in the first section if you're doing a speed run. Save to walk back, use a bold hunter's mark. My pausing is I'm having a nice cup of green tea. So while in this run I'm using the Kirk hammer, I'm trying to do a strength run, maybe see where it goes. Perhaps go blood tinge if I'm liking this sort of style. I'm more used to the skill builds. Most of my characters seem to be hybrid strength skill or skill with some arcane. Because fast weapons. Inside store. So the inside store in the beginning of the game, it used to require 10 insight in order for you to see the buff messengers. And then when you'd spend the insight, they'd start disappearing. So if you, say, bought 1 item, and you went below that 10 mark, and you left, and then came back, you know, they would disappear. But you could still buy all the items, but until you hit circle and back that way, then they'll disappear. So it's a lot fairer now, so you only need 1 insight to see them. I apologize for the sounds in the background, I'm just noticing it now. My windows are banging because of the heavy wind outside. So, Kirkhammer. Or let's talk about weapons held with two hands. So sometimes the second trick form will just be an extension of the one weapon, so it'll still be held in just your right hand. But if your character does it with both hands, you obviously can't use your pistol or your shotgun. So what's going to happen is that L2 trigger is going to be replaced with an extra action on your weapon, so it's quite handy. So the Kirkhammer, for example, the light attack is an overhead swing. The heavy attack is a stronger overhead swing. But what if you want sideways? What if there's multiple enemies coming at you at once? You can use the L2 trigger and it does a sideways hit. So it's great that the game's been customized in that style, that you get the extra attack. You can also change your weapon mid-swing. So for example, you could do a light attack and then your L1, which is convert attack. And instead of it just converting, it will do an attack as well. If you are doing a speed run, these dogs, they stop at that door. So that's their aggro range. So if you can get through that second door, they're not going to be an issue. Down here, we want to speak to this dude to get some fire paper.
Take this.
Free fire paper. So fire paper is great against the Bloodstar Beast because, again, that word, it's a beast. So serrated weapons like the saw cleaver, saw spear, and some fire paper. Massive damage. Makes up for the fact that you haven't leveled when you're doing a speed run. Again, why I recommend, if it's your first time playing and you're unsure what sort of style suits you, saw cleaver. Very great weapon. So I skipped an earlier gemstone. That was where the Wandering Madness was, around all those blood shards that we're picking up. The big batch of them all together, the 13. Because I knew I was going to get that one. And it saves you time wandering around the corner opening the chest. Antidote. You're going to need some antidote for the Bloodstar Beast. Around here there's some Pugnant Blood cocktails. You could also use those against the Bloodstar Beast. I've seen people do that. So what they'll do is they'll throw one of those against the wall. The Bloodstar Beast will go charging at the wall. And then they'll throw a Molotov. And then they rinse and repeat. Cocktail, Molotov, cocktail, Molotov. It's a way to cheese the boss. But eventually you're going to run out of both of those. So you're going to still have to fight straight up. Don't forget this one, 6 blood vials. Good spot to pick up those. So I pulled out my torch, which I didn't need to get, but it is handy for this section because you can run through and less of the guys around here will attack you. There are slow ways down, then there's quick ways down. I like to jump down this way, onto the banister and then around the edge. There's a hunter here with a saw spear. It's really hard to defeat him straight up because the other guy's Dura is shooting at you. There are ways to cheese him, which I will do up ahead. Or you could try and move him off to the side. Down here we just picked up the ritual blood from the altar. Now the guys over here will continue to chase you. So if you have some Pugnant Blood cocktail and you're doing a speed run, you can always throw it on the ground and then pick up those blood vials and they won't follow you because they'll be focused on the blood. But we're not doing a speed run, we're just doing a faster run. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to try and cheese that NPC hunter. The one with the sword spear. And there he is. So his aggro range stops here at this staircase. So you got to try and get him over it. So get him focused on you and then run through and try and cheese him. And here's the cheesing method. So you start to go down here and hopefully he's still chasing you and he'll walk off the edge. And there he goes. So you don't get many blood echoes for it, but you do get 6 bone marrow ash, and this is the earliest in the game you can pick it up. Bone marrow ash increases your next shotgun blast by about 300%. So for low level, it's not that important unless you're going for a blood tinge build on your weapons. But late game, you can get cannons, and they do massive output at top level when you upgrade them to +10. So you could mix those with the bone marrow ash, and that will do a great amount of damage. So you could possibly one-shot people in PvP. So that door down there, that leads to Yahoo Ghoul, but of course you can't access it from this side. The door's only one way, so after you defeat that electric beast in Yahoo Ghoul, you can then go through this door. Now the reason to have that door is Dura, who's up in the tower with the minigun shooting at you, he believes that all the beasts around here were actually people in the beginning, so he doesn't want to hunt them anymore. He's tired of killing. But he will stop you. That first attack did no damage. That charge L1, I'm going to have to stop using that. So you could run through that door, up the staircase from behind to visit him, and won't be aggressive to you. He'll actually talk to you and give you his badge, so you can buy the weapons that he has. The Power Keg Hunter's badge. They have some pretty cool weapons, a bit crazy, but they're pretty cool. They have a stake driver where it's a one-handed weapon, and then its trick is that it does extra damage on the next attack. So it still remain one-handed all the time. So again, I've got my torch out because these guys would be able to, well, they'll pause straight away instead of being aggressive straight away because they're scared of the fire. There's our second shortcut. I'm not going to bother, but I do want the fire paper that's up the top. There is an additional fire paper, 2 bits of fire paper, littered somewhere else in Old Yarnum, but I can't remember where it is, so I'm not going to run for it this time. On the left side you got this big guy, on the right side you have a werewolf. So either way, you're going to take a fight. If I was speed running it, I'd probably run on the left side and then just run straight. That would work. And here's the werewolf. That attack. It's so pointless. Maybe it works good for stunning. And I'm missing. The Kirkham does great damage if you can get that heavy R2. But timing it, because it's quite a short weapon, is difficult. Over here is 10 Quicksilver bullets. If you're running low, that one would really top you up, ready for the boss fight. Best to run at this point because there's a Wandering Madness. Weapons really don't do much damage against them, so you can see the great use of Molotov cocktails when you really need it come in very handy. Bold Hunter's Mark, great for teleporting. They throw them there, which is really well planned because you're right at the boss fight and you would have got a fair amount of souls. So the game's giving you the option to teleport back and level up. They're warning you that there's a boss fight up ahead. The design of the game, it's very good. I really love the level design in the Souls games. So before you go into this fight, make sure that you've got your fire paper, your Molotov cocktails, and your antidote, because those poison attacks. Wow. It shows how weak the stunning characters are, that one attack just took away over half of my health. Now you could summon help. There's a fire back, a little torch back there, so you can spend 1 insight to summon help from an NPC. But because you summon help, the boss gets more health. So I don't want that because I'm already weak enough as it is as a starting character. I'm going to try and get a visceral attack because in the early stages he's not that aggressive. So you can use this moment to get visceral attacks. And there's one strategy you can do by yourself, but you can't do it with a second person. This boss has an enraged timer that will go off, and it'll have poison just leaching from its body. So you're going to be hit by the poison. So use these early stages for any sort of fun strategies, learning the pattern, using a slow weapon. See, I did well there, but he just gets faster and faster. This is where I'm noticing I'm just missing. So again, even though this weapon is +1 and not +3, because it's got serrated edge, it's going to do more damage to the beast. And of course, I'm putting the fire on as well to do more damage. That one attack really took me down, so antidote, very important to have ready to go. If you're not wearing Gascoigne's set, sometimes that one hit can poison you straight away. Gascoigne's set has a bit more poison resistance than the Hunter sets, or the starting set. Never use all your stamina attacking, because you want something to get away. And I've been hit again. So right now the boss has done its enrage, so as you just go near it, you're going to get poisoned. There we go, so it's got an area effect of poisoning. So as you can see, just the poison meter just popped up. Yeah, so I like to just dodge for a while until it gets down a bit. Let's squash her on a timer. So just wait for it to get down. There we go, now it's down to an acceptable level. Just takes 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You can always use an antidote to reduce the meter back down a bit. Or you get poisoned. So it's a difficult fight because if you're not successful for the first 3 or 4 times, you're out of items, and fire paper, for example, you can't get at this stage in the game. So it's quite difficult. But that's where I'm going to call the end of this playthrough, for the moment at least, and we'll pick it up next time. So I hope you've enjoyed my faster playthrough. Please leave comments, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.